The Tudors were ambitious, deeply religious, and obsessed with power and politics. But alongside their royal pageantry and dramatic court intrigue, they also lived in a world where superstition shaped everyday life. Many of their beliefs strike us today as funny or bizarre or downright disgusting. They saw omens in animals, ghosts in crossroads, and witches behind almost every problem. You got a problem, blame a witch. They stuffed cats into walls, they buttered frogs for medicine, and they read storms as direct messages from God. Some of these ideas carried down into sayings that we still use, while others, let's just say I'm very glad the Enlightenment happened and the scientific revolution. Anyway, today let's take a tour through some of the strangest Tudor superstitions, portents, charms, witchcraft fears, and medical cures that make me really grateful for ibuprofen. Hey friends, welcome back to the YouTube channel for the Renaissance English History Podcast. I am your host, Heather. I've been podcasting on Tudor England since 2009 with my show, and I am, as always, delighted that you are here with me today to talk about funny Tudor superstitions. This is one of those things where, every once in a while you read something and you're like, they believed what now? So I wanted to compile them all together in one video. We've talked about things before with medical, but this is just all the Tudor superstitions. Well, as much as I can fit into like an 8-minute video. Anyway, let's dig in. The Tudors looked for signs of divine anger everywhere, and unusual births were prime evidence. Raphael Holinshed's Chronicles describe a year full of strange events. A mare produced a foal with one body and 2 heads, complete with a tail growing between them. A sow gave birth to a piglet with arms and fingers like a child, and another piglet with 2 bodies and only 1 head. Human children were also born with unusual features. One baby in Sussex had so much excess skin around its neck that it looked like it was wearing a ruff made of flesh. Rather than seeing these as kind of natural changes, genetic things, anything, just kind of things that happen every once in a while, people believed that they were portents of God's wrath, signs that the country needed to repent. Every malformed calf, piglet, or even a child who was a little different was treated not as a chance, but as a terrifying divine warning. It wasn't just these strange births that made Tudors nervous. Daily life was filled with little rituals meant to ward off evil or invite luck in. Many of these survive today in our own habits. If you say God bless you after somebody sneezes, well, that started because people believed that sneezing left the body open for the devil to slip inside. If you would touch wood for luck, not walk under ladders, or throw spilled salt over your left shoulder, all of that comes straight out of Tudor superstition. I don't like walking under ladders. That weirds me out. So that's one I hang on to. They also believed that if you put shoes on a table, that invited death, and that black cats were, of course, bound up with witchcraft. Some households took things even further. Dead cats bricked up in chimneys to keep away evil spirits. Bottles of urine and pins buried at doorways to block curses, or even old shoes hidden inside walls. These protective measures might have scared off demons, but they probably scared off friends too. The Tudors also lived in a world thick with ghosts. Those who died by self-murder, as it was called at the time, were thought almost guaranteed to return as restless spirits. To stop them from walking, their bodies were often buried at crossroads with a stake through the heart, literally pinning them in place. Then there were sin eaters, a custom both practical and disturbing. Bread and beer would be passed over the body of the deceased, and a poor man would be paid to consume them. By eating and drinking, he was thought to absorb the dead person's sins, freeing the soul for heaven. Imagine explaining that job description on your resume or at a career fair. Like, hey, come on and join us. We're recruiting for the job of sin eater. No thanks. On top of this, natural phenomena were read as divine omens. A comet blazing across the night sky or an unexpected eclipse wasn't astronomy. It was God sending a message, generally of doom. For the Tudors, the heavens were less about wonder and more about warning. Speaking of omens, here's a good one for you. Tudor Con is only 2 weeks away, and you can join from anywhere in the world with Tudor Con from home. You can join us October 3rd through 5th for 3 days of talks, live chats, games, community, all from the comfort of your couch. No need to brick up dead cats in your chimney for protection. Just grab your ticket and enjoy connecting with fellow Tudor history fans around the world. Tickets are $49 if you've been waiting for a sign. Well, this is it. You can grab yours at englandcast.com/TudorCon from home, englandcast.com/TudorCon from home. Even if you can't make it to Richmond in person, you can join us from anywhere in the world, and it's going to be amazing. All right, back to the story. For the Tudors, witches weren't fairy tale villains. They were a terrifying reality, and sometimes accusations of witchcraft were as political as they were superstition. Take Elizabeth Barton, the Maid of Kent, Nun of Kent. She started out as a teenage servant when she began experiencing visions. These caught the attention of Cardinal Wolsey, who introduced her to Henry VIII himself. For a time, she was actually treated as a holy prophetess. People came to visit her, Thomas More, lots of people. Then she declared that Henry would die if he married Anne Boleyn, and so her usefulness ran out. In 1534, she was executed at Tyburn for treason. And of course, when Henry later tried Anne Boleyn, it was convenient to frame her as a sorceress who had bewitched him. It gave him an excuse to believe that he had been tricked rather than admitting that he simply wanted to trade her in for a new model. Interestingly, Henry was fine with some natural magic, things like charms and divination, as long as it lined up with his own beliefs. Witchcraft was only evil when it was inconvenient. If superstition ruled Tudor fears, medicine was one area where things really went off the rails. Some cures worked, herbs like willow bark for pain, for example, but others were just so bizarre that they almost feel like somebody's playing a joke on you. For a headache, rub your forehead with the rope from a hanged man. Got rheumatism? Wear a donkey skin. Got gout? Boil a red-haired dog in oil, add worms and pig marrow, and rub the concoction in. Liver pain? Drink ale with 9 drowned lice floating in it, of course. Balding? Wash with crushed beetles, and then rub fox fat onto your scalp. That'll help. And if you have asthma, just swallow a live frog or a spider, helpfully coated in butter so it slips down easier. At this point, the cure sounds worse than the disease. Imagine showing up at the apothecary and being handed a buttered frog as your prescription. Wonder if insurance would cover that. So were the Tudors ridiculous? In some ways, yes. Their fears of witches, omens, monstrous births show just how much they saw the hand of God or the devil in everything. But in another way, they weren't so different from us. We still knock on wood. We still say, bless you. I'm still afraid to walk under a ladder. And we still glance nervously at Friday the 13th. At least we can be grateful that when we get sick, the doctor prescribes ibuprofen instead of frog smoothies. All right, my friends, so there we have it. If you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed it, I sure would appreciate it. Press that like button. It helps to feed the algorithm and get our content to even more people. I hope I earned your subscription to my channel where I put out content like this on the regular. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. If you want to continue watching fun Tudor superstitions, here's another video on that you might enjoy. Here's one that YouTube thinks you'll like. Thank you so much for being with me and for spending this time with me. Remember, you are deeply loved. I'm so glad I shared the planet with you. You make the world a better place, and I'm glad we get to spend this time together. I'll be back very soon, and in the meantime, don't forget to drink your water. Bye-bye, friend.